History of Scotland, Part 3, Picts, Scots and Vikings, 400 to 1000 AD. When Rome withdrew from Britain around 410 AD, their roads and forts remained, but their empire was gone. In England, kingdoms like Northumbria and Mercia began to rise. But north of Hadrian's Wall, in the lands the Romans had called Caledonia, power fractured into many hands. Over the next 600 years, Scotland would be shaped by three forces: the Picts, mysterious warriors of the north; the Scots, Gaelic-speaking settlers from Ireland; the Vikings, Norse raiders who came from across the sea. Together, their rivalries and unions forged the first medieval kingdom of Scotland, Alba. The Picts, people of symbols and stone. By the 5th century, the tribes Rome had fought were known as the Picts. Their heartlands stretched from Fife and Angus north to Orkney and Caithness, and across to Moray and Aberdeenshire. Pictish kingdoms and kings. The Picts were not one united people at first, but a confederation of kingdoms. Among them were Fortriu, often considered the dominant kingdom, centred in modern Moray and the North East Highlands; Circin, roughly Angus and the Mearns; Fib, Fife; Caithness and Orkney. By the 7th and 8th centuries, the kings of Fortriu often claimed overlordship over the others. Names of known Pictish rulers include Bride's son of Maelchon, died 584. A powerful king of Fortriu who ruled near the River Ness. He is said to have hosted St. Columba during the saint's mission. Nectan, son of Dairili, 706 to 724, introduced Roman Catholic practices into the Pictish Church, aligning it with the wider Christian world. Oengus, Angus, son of Fergus, died 761. One of the most powerful Pictish kings who extended influence across much of Scotland. Pictish society and daily life: homes, roundhouses and crannogs, lake dwellings. Brocks built in earlier centuries were still used as defensive strongholds. Farming. They raised cattle, the main measure of wealth, and grew barley and oats. They fished rivers and lochs for salmon and trout. Craftsmanship. The Picts were exceptional stonemasons and metal workers. Elaborate silver chains, brooches and weapons survive today. Succession. Some evidence suggests kingship was matrilineal, passed through the mother's line, though scholars still debate this. Symbols, stones and art. The Picts left one of the most striking artistic legacies in Europe: their carved symbol stones. Across northern Scotland, standing stones are carved with crescent and V rods, double discs and Z rods, serpents, mirrors, combs, animals, boars, eagles, salmon, wolves, bulls, warriors, men on horseback, armed with spears and shields. Their meanings remain mysterious. They may have represented clans, status, or spiritual power. Many later stones combine these symbols with Christian crosses, showing how pagan and Christian traditions overlapped. Religion and Christianity. Originally pagan, Picts worshipped natural forces, fertility gods and ancestors. But by the 6th century, Christianity spread among them. St. Columba, travelling from Iona, famously visited King Breda at his stronghold near Inverness in 565 AD. The meeting, described by the monk Adomnan, symbolised the Christianisation of the Picts. Churches began to be founded, blending native traditions with Roman practices. The Scots, from Ireland to Dalriada. While the Picts ruled the north and east, another people arrived from across the sea. These were the Scotti, Gaelic-speaking migrants from Ireland. They crossed in the 5th century and settled in Dalriada, modern Argyll and the Inner Hebrides. Kings of Dalriada. The Scots of Dalriada claimed descent from Irish royalty, the Uí dynasty. Their early kings include Fergus Mór mac Aiach, died 501, often credited with founding the dynasty of Dalriada in Scotland. Iardan mac Gabrain, 574 to 608, fought wars with Picts, Britons and Angles, consecrated by St Columba. Domnall Brecc, died 642, suffered defeat against the Picts at the Battle of Strathcarron. Dalriada was divided into king groups or kindreds, each with its own territory, society and culture. Language Gaelic became the tongue of Dalriada. In time it would spread across Scotland. Economy. Like the Picts, the Scots farmed barley, oats and livestock, but relied heavily on seafaring. Their currach boats linked them to Ireland and the Hebrides. Religion. Dalriada embraced Christianity early, bringing it into Scotland with them. St Columba and Iona. In 563 AD, St Columba, an Irish monk of noble birth, founded the monastery of Iona. Iona became one of the most important centres of learning in Europe. Monks copied manuscripts, illuminated gospels and trained missionaries. From here, Christianity spread through the Highlands and into Pictish lands. Columba himself became a legend, confronting pagan kings, blessing warriors, and even recording one of the earliest accounts of the Loch Ness Monster. The Vikings, raiders and settlers, 8th to 10th centuries. In the late 8th century, new enemies arrived. Longships cut across the seas. The Norsemen, the first raids. In 795 AD, the monastery of Iona was attacked and burned. In 802 AD, the monastery was destroyed again. In 806 AD, 68 monks were slaughtered by Viking raiders. These raids devastated the centres of learning that had grown in Scotland. Holy relics, books and treasures were carried off. Norse settlements. The Vikings did not only raid, they settled. Orkney and Shetland became Norse strongholds by the 9th century. The Hebrides, Skye, Mull, Lewis and Harris fell under Norse control. Caithness and Sutherland in the north were also colonised. The Orkneyinga saga tells of the Norse earls, or jarls, who ruled Orkney and used it as a base to raid Scotland, Ireland and England. Culture and legacy. The Norse brought their gods, Odin, Thor, Freya, but also intermarried with Gaels and Picts. In the Hebrides, a hybrid culture developed, the Galgael, or foreign Gaels. Place names today bear their mark. I, meaning island, from the Norse I, used in the name Stornoway. Ness, meaning headland, used in the name Inverness. By, meaning farmstead, used in the name Lockerbie. Their influence remains etched into Scotland's map and DNA. Unification, Kenneth MacAlpin and the birth of Alba, 843 AD. By the 9th century, constant wars between Picts and Scots, combined with Viking pressure, encouraged unity. In 843 AD, Kenneth MacAlpin, Sinead mac Ailpin, king of the Scots of Dalriada, became king of the Picts as well. Tradition tells of treachery, that he invited Pictish nobles to a feast and had them slaughtered. But historians see this more as legend than fact. What matters is that Picts and Scots were now united. The new kingdom was called Alba. Language. Gaelic became the language of court and church. Faith. Christianity was now dominant. Kingship. Kenneth MacAlpin founded a dynasty that would rule Scotland for centuries. From Alba, the kingdom of Scotland would grow. absorbing Strathclyde, resisting Norse influence, and eventually uniting into a single nation. Between 400 and 1000 AD, Scotland transformed. The Picts left their mysterious stones and their warrior spirit. The Scots brought Gaelic speech and Christian faith. The Vikings carved their presence into the Isles and Highlands, leaving names, bloodlines and legends. And from the chaos of raids and rivalries, a new kingdom emerged, Alba. For the first time, Scotland was united under one crown, with its own language, church and identity. The story of the Picts, Scots and Vikings is not just about conflict. It is about the blending of cultures, the forging of resilience, and the birth of a nation that endures to this day. Thank you for watching this video. It is part 3 of the history of Scotland. Please like and subscribe to watch the remaining parts. And as always, stay curious.